Have you ever wondered why everyone seems obsessed with Mephisto and the MCU? If you've followed the Marvel series and films, you know that this villain's name has come up in many theories, but until now he's never really shown up. Has Marvel finally decided to bring Mephisto into the game? The series Agatha, Coven of Chaos is making the internet buzz with subtle references, and we're not talking about something random. What if I told you that Mephisto has already been mentioned, and that his impact on the MCU could be greater than you imagine? If you think Marvel is playing with fire, you can brace yourself, because there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye at first glance. Pablo Picasso left no room for doubt as he opened the video with pure euphoria. He shared what Marvel fans have been waiting for a long time: Mephisto, one of Marvel's greatest villains, has finally appeared in the MCU. The series Agatha, Coven of Chaos was responsible for bringing this character to the surface, something that was already making many people uneasy. This news was certainly an adrenaline punch for those who follow every detail of the Marvel universe. After all, Mephisto's presence promises to change the entire landscape of villains, generating enormous anticipation for what is to come. Now, it is interesting to note how the presenter highlights the impact that this simple mention has already had on the community. Who doesn't remember the countless theories that ran wild during Marvel's last phases? Mephisto's name was always circulated, but it had never been confirmed, until now. It's as if fans finally got the validation they've been searching for. Here, Pablo makes a point of highlighting the weight of this villain, who, despite being a nebulous figure so far, is already messing with Marvel's narrative structures. And of course, anyone who pays attention to what happens in the MCU knows that nothing is by chance. If Mephisto was mentioned, it's because Marvel has big plans for him. Pablo throws the hook to pique the curiosity of those who follow, suggesting that this revelation could be just the beginning of something much bigger. With a villain like Mephisto in the picture, fans can expect darker plots full of twists, something that always increases the tension in the narrative. And this, of course, makes everyone's eyes pay attention to every detail of the series. In the third episode of the series Agatha, Coven of Chaos, the story begins to take on greater weight. Here, Pablo tells us about an essential detail: Agatha Harkness sold her own son, Nicholas Scratch, to Mephisto. All of this was in exchange for the Darkhold, the mysterious and powerful spellbook that has been crucial in the Marvel universe. The impact of this revelation is enormous, as this transaction places Mephisto directly in the plot, albeit still subtly. The presence of villains like him, even if behind the scenes, begins to shape the narrative into something much larger. This detail about the sale of Nicholas shows just how engaging and complex the series is becoming. We're not talking about just a simple villain, but an antagonist who directly manipulates the values and motivations of the central characters. Just imagine a mother selling her own child in exchange for power. The depth of this action makes Agatha an even more fascinating character and opens the door for various discussions about sacrifices, ambitions, and the consequences of dark alliances. It's at this point that the series captivates by bringing to light moral choices that resonate in the real world, where decisions can shape destinies. Speaking of decisions, Mephisto is known for manipulating these exchanges, playing with people's deepest weaknesses and desires. This is how he builds his empire of villainy in the Marvel universe. And this exchange with Agatha is just another example of how devastating he can be, even when acting from the shadows. What else is yet to come? If Mephisto is already involved, it's almost certain that things are going to get much more intense from here on out. And those familiar with Marvel's style know this is just the beginning of something much more intriguing. Pablo couldn't help but mention how obsessed fans became with the idea of Mephisto appearing in WandaVision. This Marvel villain generated so many theories that he turned into a sort of urban legend among viewers. Week after week, the speculation grew, and fans became increasingly attentive to any detail that could indicate his appearance. However, as Pablo reminds us, Mephisto did not officially appear in the series, but his shadow loomed over the plot in such a way that it even became a meme in the community. This anticipation reflects the importance of this character in the Marvel universe and for villains as a whole. What many don't know is that Mephisto, despite his demonic appearance and behavior, is not the Christian demon we're used to seeing in popular culture. He is a complex entity, an antagonist who operates in limbo, in a fiery hell that resembles the biblical imagination but does not follow the same rules. This detail makes Mephisto even more intriguing, as he exploits this confusion to manipulate his victims. Pablo takes the opportunity to remind us that he has interfered in the lives of several heroes, such as Spider-Man and Silver Surfer, causing devastation that forever changed the destinies of these characters. Peter Parker himself, for example, experienced one of the most impactful moments of his life because of Mephisto. In exchange for saving his Aunt May's life, Peter lost his marriage to Mary Jane, an event that radically altered the hero's trajectory. These interferences show just how devastating this villain can be, even without appearing directly on screen. And it is precisely this type of threat that fans are hoping he will bring to the MCU. After all, if he has already caused so much chaos in the comics, what will he do when he finally appears on screen? This leaves the door open for even greater speculation. In addition to Mephisto, another important concept that emerges in the series Agatha, Coven of Chaos, is that of death. The presence of this entity begins to make fans question what is to come, especially when she is seen in a hallucination with a hooded figure and a skull face. This representation closely resembles Marvel's Death, an entity that has had a peculiar relationship with Thanos and, interestingly, with Deadpool. Death, like Mephisto, is a villain that navigates the mysteries of the universe, and her appearance in the series adds a darker tone to the narrative. And this is not the first time Death has appeared in the MCU. Pablo makes sure to remind us of her subtle mention in Thor, Love and Thunder, where she was depicted in one of the statues in the temple where Jane Foster wielded Thor's powers. This connection shows how Marvel is gradually weaving the storyline of these darker and more mysterious villains, creating bridges between their appearances. And, of course, when we talk about Death, we can't help but think of her role in the comics, where she is more than just a passive figure. She is the object of obsession for villains like Thanos, who has tried to win her favor on several occasions. It's interesting to observe how these appearances, even if brief, manage to spark fan speculation about what is coming next. Is Marvel laying the groundwork to bring villains like Mephisto and Death into more active roles in upcoming productions? And how might this impact the heroes' universe? With so many references already present, the MCU seems to be building a storyline that blends the mystical and the technological, creating increasing anticipation for what lies ahead. And with Death already lurking in the shadows, it's possible we will see darker consequences for the main characters. The speculation about Mephisto's appearance in Agatha, Coven of Chaos grows with each episode, and fans are increasingly eager to find out if he will actually appear. Pablo highlights that, with the villain already being mentioned in the series, there is a possibility of his appearance in a flashback, perhaps showing his relationship with Agatha and the son she traded for power. And, of course, the audience is curious to see how Mephisto will settle the score with Agatha, as this relationship could open the door for even bigger conflicts in the MCU. Rumors also point to another major development, the possible casting of Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto in Ironheart. The series, which promises to mix technological and mystical elements, would be the perfect stage for the villain's official debut in the MCU. Pablo expresses excitement when talking about this possibility, especially with the choice of Sacha, a versatile actor known for his eccentric style. This could add a unique layer to the character, bringing both the charisma and danger that Mephisto represents in Marvel Comics. With this blend of magic and technology, Ironheart promises to be one of Marvel's most innovative productions in recent times. And if Mephisto does indeed make an appearance, it could mark the beginning of a new era of villains in the MCU. This reinforces the importance of keeping an eye on future series and films, as characters like Mephisto have the potential to completely change the storylines and destinies of the heroes. So, the big question that remains is, when will we see Mephisto in all his glory in the MCU? This uncertainty keeps fans even more attentive to upcoming productions. Now that you're up to speed on everything about Mephisto and his potential role in the MCU, it's time to reflect on what this means for Marvel's future films and series. Have you thought about how these villains, like Mephisto, can influence not only the plots but also the way we see the heroes? How about asking yourself, what would your reaction be if you were in the shoes of one of the characters facing such a powerful antagonist? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming discussions about the Marvel Universe and its complex storylines. Let's explore together the possibilities and mysteries that this incredible franchise offers us. Are you ready to dive even deeper into the stories and nuances of these fascinating characters? Let's go!